I was very, very pleased with the project and the implementation. And so would the team, and the benefits have been great for us. So I'm the CFO for Ashley Services Group. We're a listed labour hire and training services provider. So our revenue is around 550 million a year. Labour hire is the majority of that, 535 million, and then we do 15 million of training revenue. We're paying about 7,250 workers, casual workers per week, and we have about 300 permanent staff that work in the business. And we cross all labour hire, casual labour requirements from supply chain, retail, manufacturing, construction, engineering, horticulture, rail and mining. So that is us. We run about 20 different brands and we run 20 different trading legal entities, either because of that branding or because they're entities that we acquired in the past, that we're still running those entities as separate trading companies. Well, we were on MYOB Exo, and my thinking was it would be easier to stay on MYOB product in terms of transition and conversion. And Acumatica was going to take us forward in leaps and bounds. So the initial thinking was, with 30 different databases in MYOB Exo, rolling those databases at month end started to take a long period of time. Our servers were not running as quickly as I would have liked. So if I wanted to make a change in the month-end results or change the way we were doing allocations across companies, it would take literally, all 30 databases being rolled. It would be hours before I got anything back for a simple change. That was driving me nuts. So the first thing was speed of the system. The second was integrity, because of all the intercompany journals. We had a lot of manual reconciliations going on, and I was never entirely confident that each accountant had done all their intercompanies in the right time periods, and it used to take us hours to reconcile intercompany. And the last part was reporting. Because it was all separate databases, the accounting team used to have to go into those databases, basically pull out the details, put them in Excel and give me a report in Excel. So we became too big for MYOB Exo. And the primary goal was one database, increase the speed and increase the integrity of what I was being given. So that was the outset of why we chose MYOB Acumatica. We ended up with a lot more benefits than I initially thought, which saved us a lot of time in productivity. And so the last part of what we intended was we would get some savings in finance staff. So we would get a more efficient system, savings in finance staff, and we ended up delivering that. So we ended up delivering 30% reduction in our finance staff from 10 to 7. So now, obviously, during a month end, you see the first draft result, you realize that there are some issues with it. I asked for those to be corrected. And literally within the time it takes to process the journal, all our reports have been written and automated. So I get the consolidated and broken down result back by entity. So consolidated and entities, basically a few minutes after we've processed the journal, which is perfect for me. Our reporting is automated due to a product that you integrate with called MYOB Exo. And that's been instrumental. It's effectively the Excel add-in. So we've got MYOB, Exo, and then Excel. And all our reports, we simply change the parameters for dates. They refresh and run, and we get our reporting that way. So 96% of our costs are actually in labor-related costs, as you can imagine. So we have relatively few what I'd call accounts payable type costs, but it's still a fairly sizable number. Let's say 20 million of costs. In the past, whenever I asked a question, what staff amenities, what did we pay in rentals this month? We would have to go into the 30 different databases and have a look at that expense item, find out what it was, potentially who the supplier was, and then go and dig the invoice up. With it the way it is now, I can see the account, I ask the question, we drill down, we know all the entities. We scan all of our AP invoices into MYOB, so the accountants can just drill down and go straight to the scanned AP invoice and give me the details of that was a rental of this photocopier for this period at this time. So we can go from the consolidated level down to our supplier invoices, albeit via a scanning product that we have to utilize. I've been with Ashley twice. The first time I was with Ashley, believe it or not, when we got here, we were doing consolidations on Excel. That's when we implemented MYOB Exo to get at least all our general ledgers on the same platform. They were on various accounting packages before that. When we did MYOB Exo implementation, the mistake that we made was we only had 2 people involved in doing that, the head of finance and their offsider. The rest of the finance team were not really involved in the implementation. So this time around, we utilized Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro was the third party that managed the project, managed the timetable, did all the coding. They knew our business very well from the first time round, but they basically drove the project. Our head was the head of finance as a primary contact, but all 10 of our staff were involved in training, 3 to 4 day sessions, all data cleanup and migration, which that was particularly useful exercise as part of the implementation because we cleaned up all our databases for accounts receivable, accounts payable, a lot of improvements that we made and didn't take all that data across. So they did all of that. They did the testing, they did the training, so that when we went live, they were all very familiar with the product. So I think that was the key learning. The project went on time. It only overran really marginally. So it was a very successful implementation. But using the third party for project management, who also did the work, was very beneficial to us. To be honest, we did not have many issues on the project implementation. We were duplicating what we had, and Kilimanjaro was very familiar with it. We were improving several things, but we didn't have many problems in implementation. We had some issues post go live, mainly around everybody being used to the new product, and also the time it took us to write all the various reports that I talked about previously. We had to write those, and we wrote them post go live. It didn't take that long, but there was a time lag to have all those reports ready and automated. Well, the productivity itself was obviously worth it. So that's quite a big saving in finance costs. Additionally to that, we were running on our own servers. We're now running on the cloud, and there has been a saving there as well. So there've been actual financial savings, but the biggest benefits of all have been the reduction in our month-end process from 10 days to 5, the speed with which we can make a change, the automation of our reports. The productivity came actually from the benefits in intercompany transactions. So it used to take us a couple of days just to reconcile all our intercompanies. Now it's a few hours. So that's been a huge benefit. The automation of our journals has been another big benefit. So we use Exo. We have templates effectively in Excel, and we can upload journals to MYOB Acumatica. Previously, our ERP is really payroll and invoicing. So we pay 7,000 people, and then we just invoice for them with a slight margin. So that's our ERP system. It's not linked to MYOB. We have to get that data into MYOB. There was a time where a summary journal was manually keyed into each of those databases. That's now an not automated, but you press a button and Excel goes into MYOB Acumatica. It's the same for prepayments and lots of other benefits that came from MYOB Acumatica, where we could upload or go directly from invoices and payments to our various cost centers. So all that's been dramatically improved, and that led to a lot of productivity benefits. So in the old system, we obviously had separate databases. So just posting additions, disposals, and running depreciation was a very long process. And our databases got so big that at one point, the two largest companies were just taking so long to run the fixed assets. It took hours, which became unworkable. Now we have fixed assets, obviously, in one consolidated system. We do post book and tax depreciation, but it runs within 10 minutes. So big improvement in the speed of fixed assets. We do still have to run a lot of reports to get our fixed asset register together in the way I'd like it. And that's one of the improvements we'll be working on. But just generally, fixed assets has improved as well. We explored payroll, but for us, we're too big to utilize the payroll module. In a perfect world, that would have been good, because then we could have had basically our transactional data, nearly all of it, within MYOB. But we're too big to handle that. We got substantial improvements there. Big improvement in GST. Still more improvements to go, to be honest. We could still get better in that area, but yes, we did. The big benefit of going on the cloud was that prior to moving to the cloud, our staff pretty much had to be in the office working on the computers that they have in the office if they wanted to access MYOB Exo. Now, of course, they can work from anywhere as long as they've got an internet connection. That's actually been a pretty big change because nowadays the team work from home, 2 days out of 5. That would have been actually a little bit difficult previously. So that's been another benefit. thinking that through. So previously, and we did it a lot, if we wanted to add a company into the system, we acquired someone, we wanted to add a company into the system, that was a project. We would have to go to Kilimanjaro, we would have to work with them to add the company. It could take a couple of weeks sometimes, depending on availability of resources. Now we're actually able to set up companies ourselves with our own staff. So that's a huge benefit. It's no longer a big project to add a company to the system. The other thing is that we are able to write these reports ourselves. So the reports that we do write using Exo, etc., that's done in-house. Bank feeds was another big improvement. So that's a big benefit. Our focus is going to be on that purchasing process, starting to utilize workflows. I'd like to think about whether we can utilize the reporting, executive reporting better, but to do that, we would have to get our transactional data into that warehouse, and we haven't done that yet. I was very, very pleased with the project and the implementation. And so would the team, and the benefits have been great for us. The one thing we had a bit of an issue with was every year there's an update. There's probably more than one update, but my understanding is we have to at least partake in one of the upgrades per year. And we want to, because we want to stay current, obviously, on the product. We should have done more testing in the sandbox. We worked through it, don't get me wrong, and it was all fine. But I think that we have to be better prepared for the annual upgrade. It's definitely worth moving from MYOB Exo to Acumatica. We wouldn't have been able to stay on just MYOB Exo. We've grown too much and it wasn't going to work. A lot of people would think, MYOB for a company our size, but we're happy with how it's working. So for us, it does what we want. There's more improvements can be made. But yeah, we've been really happy, and we weren't able to stay on MYOB Exo.